Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 19. Another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. First one is drone swarms. Who doesn't like a drone swarm? You've seen these before. You've probably seen them at the Olympics or opening ceremonies or New Year's Eve, that sort of thing. However, these are different. So the ones you've seen before are all controlled centrally from some sort of Wi-Fi HQ. These are autonomous. So these work by themselves. They have everything on board to navigate complex environments like forests. Also to be in formation, they can be, for instance, told to follow a target through a complicated woods or with trees or things that obscure your vision, and they can do that. So as I say, everything that they've got is needed on board. They can fly through gaps of up to 30 centimeters in width or as small as, and also deal with horizontal stuff. They can avoid the ground, etc., etc. So now the research team behind this, Chinese research team, have got some sort of noble goals for this. They're talking about things like environmental mapping, which would be great. First responder, so if somebody's lost in the woods or in a complex environment, they can fly through that as well. And likewise also, is this going to be the air traffic control of the future? So when we're all going to work on our personal drones and our flying machines, then this will probably what will keep us safe in the sky. Now, clearly, we know this is going to have a military application, and that would be quite scary as well. But there you go. Formation of autonomous drones. This is a study going on currently in America, in Boulder and Colorado to be absolutely precise. And this is by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology, who are looking at what do they need to know to put Wi-Fi in lampposts. So that makes sense because they're already there, so you don't need any more masts, for instance. And it's also if your city is providing public Wi-Fi, then this is the obvious solution. Now, if you've got 4G, 5G, turns out 2 to 4 meters high is where you need it. So broadly speaking, you know, it can deal with going through cars and vans and things like that are going by. If you're using 5G, 6G, then they need to be higher because that gets absorbed by things much easier. Now, what they're also looking at is a new band as well, which is sort of unlicensed 60 gigahertz space as well. So high frequency needs to be quite high as well, but that could be quite interesting as well. So the reason this is also interesting is using urban furniture for sort of smart needs. So we're seeing in the UK things like lampposts that have now got EV chargers, but likewise a lot of phones now have got things like wireless charging, or devices have got wireless charging. Who should be charging those? Should it be the transport network? Should it be pavements? Could it be the pipes that are underneath the pavements that are giving you Wi-Fi or giving you energy? So the smartification of urban furniture. There you go. This is key tap 3. This can listen to your mechanical keyboard and infer what you typed. Now, if you look very closely to this video, you'll notice a USB unplugged about in the middle of the video there. So you do not even need the keyboard plugged in because it is actually just listening to the audio of the keyboard. As I say, only works with mechanical keyboard, so if you've got a funky laptop or a Mac sort of squidgy keyboard, it won't work. But the way this works is you type some stuff. You can go to the website, by the way, and try this yourself if you have a mechanical keyboard. Go to the website. You press record, it listens to your key tapping, and then it goes through, it needs 100 key taps to try and figure it out, and then it will go through a series of processes where it tries to incrementally kind of predict better and better responses to what you might have typed. So it can hear the spacebar, for instance, and therefore if you typed in 2 letters after the spacebar and then hit the spacebar again, it knows it's a 2-letter word. And what might it be given there's a 7-letter word and a 3-letter word that follow it and precede it? So it basically uses inference to try and figure out what you typed. If you can see from the inset there, this is a short demonstration of using this tool to blah blah blah. So it gets it sort of right. I tried it with my squidgy Mac keyboard, didn't work at all, but there you go. Maybe you have different results. But if a website asks you to switch on your microphone because it wants to take commands or something like that, then be afraid, be very afraid. NFTs. So the Wall Street Journal ran an article this week saying that NFTs have seen a 92% decline in sales since the peak, and they showed a graph there, and lots of other news outlets just parroted that. So there was, if you then went to lots of other, like Cointelegraph, for instance, or lots of social tweets, a lot of other people saying, actually, if you go to the on-chain data for all of the other websites that it doesn't actually look like that. So what you're seeing on the right hand side is the actual the sales from the people like Rareables or OpenSea, and it's either broadly speaking carrying on increasing, or it's broadly speaking remaining flat, etc., etc. So these are active. There are two sorts of things going on. One is actual sales, and the other one is active wallets. So two things. However, if you are in the NFT world, there's no such thing as a single type of NFT. They're doing all sorts of things at the moment. So there you go. So the main data was from fungible.com, who are a sort of data provider for the NFT world. However, that was maybe just a little bit too specific. The only point of this one is you might have heard the story. If there was panic in the street, then it was probably not quite needed just yet. DeepMind have an algorithm which is called mu0. You might know mu0 because it plays games really well. So it can play chess, it can play AlphaGo, it can also do things like Minecraft, or it can play World of Warcraft, for instance. So all it needs is an input and an output. So for a game, input would be keystrokes, for instance, and output would be score. So very, very simple. If you told it that video compression was a game, input was a video, and the output would be something was better, if not as good as what is currently available, then it goes, right, I've got this, I can play this game. And what it instantly did is it managed to get between kind of 4 and 5% more efficiency. So if you're into video compression, that is massive. So imagine YouTube, imagine all the video compression sites out there, or YouTube, TikTok, everything that uses video. If all of a sudden the world's network demand went down by 5% because of all the video that was being compressed slightly better, that is a massive deal. It's taken 20 or so years to get to where we're going currently at with all our algorithms, and it basically, this is just made a quantum leap next step. So what else could it be pointed at? As long as you've got an input and an output, it can see it as a game, it might be able to solve it. So yeah, so DeepMind's mu0 is now being used on stuff other than games. Quite interesting. We have the first esports world champions, so well done to Beth Potter and Alex Yee, both from the UK, it turns out. That must obviously be a UK thing with the Brownlee brothers, etc. However, what this was is a mix of virtual and physical. So this is sort of an esports with a physical element to it. And this is the first World Championship. So it started a year ago, so it's been going around the world, ended up in Singapore, and the swim was in the harbour. Then they come out to the swim and then go on a treadmill or a bike, it's usually a bike next, and then they did it in reverse, I think, for the next round. However, that's quite an interesting thing where we're sort of, we're now having these World Championships ordained and World Championships being crowned through this kind of mix of physical and virtual. And the IOC have also, so the Olympic Committee have also announced that, coincidentally also in Singapore, next year they're going to try and run the Olympic Virtual Sports Festival. So something they trialled in 2021, and they're going to sort of make it official next year. So there you go, more of that. So it's not just e-games and not just athletics or sports. This is actually where we're seeing these what's called arena games, where it can all happen in very close proximity. So it's good. Cool. John Deere, they have not had the best of press, so they've always been the cornerstone of the farming world until they started putting smart stuff in their tractors. And that smart stuff basically means that all of the components of your tractor talk to each other. If one of those things changes and it doesn't recognize it, it does not work. What's called it bricks the tractor. The point of this is it's basically John Deere saying that we want to be in control of all of the technology, and if you ever break your tractor, you need to call us because we need to plug in a laptop and fix it. Now, this has also been seen in things like ventilators in hospitals, and especially during COVID. This made absolutely no sense. If you needed to change a screen or a filter, and all of a sudden the technician needed to come out and activate it, and all of a sudden the technician cannot fly because of COVID, you end up with ventilators that do not work, which is actually causing potential deaths. So there is a sinister side to this, but also there is a financial side. Tractors are pretty much what you shouldn't really be putting this on because you need them to be working in the field, and farmers need to be fixing them. However, there is another story this week where Russian soldiers, obviously due to the invasion of Ukraine, stole about £5 million worth, I think, dollars, of farming equipment from a dealership and took it away. And then John Deere knew all of the tractors' serial numbers and therefore stopped them working remotely. So yay, a good story, I guess, although it's all with lots of background to lots of bad stuff going on. However, point is this is also happening with things like Teslas. They can remotely upgrade things, etc. Will this be the future of military vehicles where you can't steal stuff? Certainly farmers in Ukraine probably can tow away a tank, but it won't work, etc. There you go. Kind of well done, John Deere, I guess, at last. There you go. Hopefully that was useful. I hope it was interesting. If it was, share it with somebody else, and I'll see you next week.